What a VIP room. Fantastic.
Hey, Nori.
We have United Way.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday.
Yes. Can't come soon enough. Sorry, we stuck this in. I was like, we've been talking about doing this for so long. It was like, no, we can't wait another week. I'm sorry we're not giving you a lot of time, but look at the deck. We got to get through this.
Hey, Amy.
Hey, Amy. All right.
Hey, bees. Hey, hi, everyone.
Me and Pat are doing like the spirit tunnel welcome. We're giving everybody shout outs as you come in.
Hey, Pat.
Awesome.
Hey.
Yeah. How you doing?
All right. So
Good.
far it's 50
Excited
just
that
in
you're with
here.
us.
All right. Guys, I think we're good to start.
All right. Sounds good. Well, let me start off by saying I am very Zen-like when it comes to my meetings. So whoever is in the meeting are the right people to be in the meeting. So thank you all very much for joining us and taking time out to do this. Super excited about what our outcome's going to be in the end of June, a summit, first time we've had one in 10 years. And it's funny because, well, I'll talk about that in a second, but I do have some house rules that I was told by Bob Jones, our summit facilitator and all around good guy, that I had to make sure I put out there. So audio mute when you're not talking, engage chat box. If you have a question, that'd be great. Bob's going to monitor that. Participate by raising a hand. We don't want this just to be us talking. So obviously you've got observations, thoughts, comments. We want to hear them. Any technical issues, try rejoining. Bob says that usually gets people right back in. And then this is being recorded, just so you know. So if you don't want to say anything in particular about anybody in a big White House, a little White House, any houses in between, it's going to be taped. So a couple of people have asked us that so that we could make sure that we got to them afterwards. So, all right, Bob, you want to move us?
Sure. So I'm Bob Jones, and I'm with the Florida Civic Advance, and I've got Jim Murley as well, who I believe everyone is aware of and his work in Miami-Dade County over a number of years, at least over the past decade. So we're going to be helping as best we can both the planning committee and the mayor's office in trying to make sure that we can make a success of this summit. And it's not an event, it's a launch event. It's a launch to continue to do work to implement what emerges from the summit in June and continue on for at least for the remainder of the mayor's term. Pat and Ibis, did you want to do the intro welcome both for your team and
Yeah, I think probably everybody knows us, but if not, I'll just kick it off if that's okay with you, Ibis.
Yeah.
Pat Morris, Mayor Levine Cava, Senior Manager for Civic and Philanthropic Partnerships. And I'm not going to introduce who I'm sitting next to yet because she's going to do it herself, but I am going to introduce you to my best friend at work. Sorry, Ibis. Michelle Johnson. So Michelle, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, good afternoon.
Now I'd say she never responds in kind, but we're getting there after 5 years.
Pat's my best friend at work too.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see all of you. I see some friends. I see some new folks who are going to be my friends soon. But it's really good to see you all this afternoon. My name is Michelle Johnson. I'm the Mayor's Faith and Community Leadership Manager. So it is an honor, and please reach out to me if you need anything. But I work very closely with Pat and Miss Ibis. So we'll turn it over to you, Ibis.
Hey, everybody. So I see some familiar faces. I see some new ones. So for everyone, I am Ibis Valdez. I am Mayor Levine Cava's Director of Engagement. So Pat and Michelle are my amazing colleagues on Mayor Cava's community engagement team. So I am so excited to go through the Civic Summit 2026 with everybody. So I would say from here, because everybody's ordered differently on our different devices. So I'm going to popcorn it over to Mr. Bob Jones.
Okay. In terms of welcome introductions, we thought we'd just, if each person would just say who they are, the organization that they're representing, and possibly just one aspect of Miami-Dade's civic life that you love. So just to give a quick thought to that, and you can provide it in the chat if you prefer. But we'd like to just do a quick round to just hear who we have on this call in particular. So I'm looking at my list in terms of the site. So Amy Morales, you want to introduce yourself briefly?
And then you can kick it to somebody else, Amy.
Let's do it. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Amy. I'm the statewide policy director at Engage Miami. And in one aspect, civic life, I love how collaborative it is. So see some, friends who we've been doing, community engagement with for a minute on this call too. And I think that just speaks to really the partnership that exists. Um, within Dade. And I will pass it over to Anna Ruth.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Ruth. I am the Senior Policy and Advocacy Manager with Catalyst Miami. She, her pronouns, and I love everything civic related, but I love educating people on our local governments. So, I'll pass it over to Maybe.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy Friday. Maida Martinez, proudly serving with the Hispanic Community of Florida. Um, just a quick note, very happy to be back in this planning committee after 10 years. The last time we gathered was 2016, so I'm very, very happy to that we're starting this up again. My favorite part about civic life in Miami is these civic conversations happen every day. Just some people don't know that they're having a civic conversation. So once we're intentional about engaging in those conversations and bringing light to how we engage civically and in community, that's when we can lead to very powerful outcomes. So I'm excited to be part of this planning committee. I will toss it to Josh.
Hi, everybody. Josh Sales, Vice President of External Affairs for the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. Really grateful. Thank you for including us in this important work. I guess my favorite thing about Miami-Dade's civic life is the way public policy and community relationships intersect in real time. And no better proof of that than right now.
Awesome. All right, kick it to somebody, Josh.
Fernanda.
Fernanda. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Fernanda Jorgensen with Philanthropy Miami. I guess my favorite part is just this moment right now with everyone on this call, just the way we all show up and want to connect and want to make Miami a better place. And so I'm driving, so I don't want to look down on my phone. So I will just throw it over to the next whoever wants to go next.
No worries. I think, Fernanda, this is a great place for me to just a quick shout out to the League of Women Voters. I just wanted to make note that the president, Marisol, as well as Leah, are here with us. I know that I think right now they're at work and unable to speak, but I did want to mention that. So thank you for that great segue. I will now popcorn it to Mr. Clint John.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clint John. I am a freshman at Miami Northern Senior High School and the executive director of Virtutum Populo Inc., a nonprofit committed to civic engagement among youth. My favorite part about civic life in Miami is that everything that we do or talk about has something to do with civics. And so it's so important that we ensure that every single person knows that what affects their life is related to civics and government. So I'm super committed to making sure that there's that awareness.
Okay, just everybody take note. You heard it here, and I'm not the first to say it. You're seeing the future president of the United States, a state senator, a congressman. This guy's going to be somebody. So he already is, but just so proud of what he's done and what he keeps doing. He keeps showing up and he keeps showing up, not just showing up, but really saying stuff like he just said. That's really important. So thank you. So,
Showing up and showing out.
yeah. All right, let's kick it to Nori.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be a part of this. I'm Nori Del Valle. I'm Chief Impact Officer at United Way Miami. And the aspect that I love about civic life in Miami, but just life in Miami, is that there's always a cultural twist to everything that we do, and that we're very respectful of that cultural twist that comes with all the ways that we engage in our community. So I'm very excited that we're bringing it all together in a summit format. I will kick it to my friend Joan.
Hi, everybody. And Pat, I was thinking that luckily, because this is being recorded, if Clint becomes president, you have something to charge for at that point.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, I put money on that one. I can tell you that much.
So it is a pleasure to see many of you. For those of you who I don't know yet, my name is Joan Godoy, and I lead an organization called Radical Partners that is all about accelerating impact so that we can do more, better, faster. And I will have to say that what excites me about civic engagement in Miami is the white space of opportunity that we have, right? I think Miami has a lot of things that work technologically and entrepreneurial wise, et cetera. And at the same time, we have a large population that is not civically engaged just yet. And that truly excites me. Like, how do we bring that culture that Nori was referring to and the progress that Maide was talking about and just accelerate it and boost it? So with that, I will pass it to my cousin and partner in impact, Hergel.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne. Hi, everyone. My name is Hergel Osorio Godoy, not related to Joanne. I am the Senior Manager of Collective Impact at the Miami Foundation, and I'm loving everybody's responses so far. I'll say that one aspect of our county civic life that I personally love is how hyper local and like neighborhood driven a lot of our work is. I find that often like civic engagement feels fragmented down here, but it's definitely deeply relational. So much of our work happens by way of the relationships that we have, the trust, the networks that we build. And I feel like people down here, we mobilize through these personal connections and these amazing relationships in our family, through WhatsApp groups, churches, neighborhood leaders. And so that brings me a lot of life and a lot of joy. I'll pass it over to Agatha. I don't believe you've gone.
Yeah.
Hello, sorry, I'm driving, so I'll make this quick. Agatha Caraballo, I'm a teaching professor of public policy administration and founding director of the Maurice Frey Institute for Civic Leadership at FIU. And just excited and echoing a lot of others that there's a lot of different ways to be civically engaged. And I can't look down, but I'll pass it to anybody that hasn't gone yet.
Yes, let's see.
Probably would have said something at this point. All right.
Yeah, I think we've all
I assume
gone.
we got everybody. All
Well,
right.
Let's see. So, Pat and Ibis, you might want to just reflect on the fact of this is the list of organizations that have been invited to this conversation and to this committee, and we know that some of these organizations are not on this call, and Pat mentioned and Ibis mentioned that as well, and mentioned even the League of Women Voters, et cetera. But you can see it's a very impressive list of very different organizations in different sectors, and I think that's a really important point to stress about cross-sector. And so Ibis and Pat, do you want to make any remarks further about the
Well,
list?
the only observation that I want to make, because I know most of you, Josh, I know is really kind of a more relatively new friend. Just about everybody else I know, and know Ibis and Michelle. But I just want to say, we cast as wide a net as we thought we could, kind of starting this. If there's somebody who we obviously need to have on this committee working with us over the next, couple of months to make this happen in June. Please just email me and let me know, or call me or text me. And, we can add them to this. This is not exclusive by any means. We want to be even more inclusive. And I mean, again, there's a point of the working committee that makes sense, but there may be some people who I just don't know, or maybe Evie's or Michelle or Bob or Jim don't know, and that you think would be a great addition to this. So, please, I just want to put that out there, let us know. And then the other thing is, we started this conversation with Bob and Jim and the mayor back in, I want to say August, but it might have been even earlier than that. But we got caught up in the budget and all of the things coming out of that. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, I probably don't need to go any further. So it got delayed. We did other things, super successful Citizen Academy. This kind of got pushed to the side, but it never went away in the mayor's head. So literally in December, she said, okay, come the new year, we've got to get that moving. And, tell me what you need from me and the date to be there. And I want to have some input into this. But when we told her the types of organizations that we wanted to have engaged in making this happen, she was all in. So we have her support, we have her continuing support, and super excited about that. I just wanted to share that with everybody. So, Bob, you want to go through, go ahead. You want to kind of go through the goals a little bit, or you want to?
Yeah, well, just in terms of I'll just say briefly, the objectives
Goals.
for this hour-long meeting is to try and kind of orient you towards the history Pat just described with the mayor and her interest, and to review some of the goals that she has been interested in and that we need to look at and potentially refine, et cetera, and a charge to the planning committee, and then review some thoughts about the meeting schedule and next steps. So that's what we're hoping will conclude, be able to achieve in this. And I think we can just breeze by the agenda, which is the objectives we're highlighting. So Pat or Ibis, if you want to say anything about roles, but I think you can just see that the summit planning team, the committee, is really going to be looking at both the summit agenda as well as an implementation plan for ideas and actions that emerge from the summit. So it's not an event as such. It is a launch, and I think that's what the mayor really wanted to see. Not just have, like we had in 2016, a one-day event, but no follow-up. So we're hoping that we're in a different place today in 10 years down the line. Maybe Pat, if you wanted to check to see if there are any questions about roles on this slide.
Yeah, if you guys want to take a look at that, if there's any, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, but if there's any, comments anybody wants to make, please do. The one thing I do want to say in full transparency, only because they have it as a quote in the document 10 years ago, that at the end of the summit, again, the mayor was there, Mike Day was there, maybe if not some of you, nor you might have been there, but there might have been other folks from Engage and Elevate. Well, they were there, right? I mean, well, Mike Day was there, but I am the guy who said, and I've been reminded by this several times, not my quote, but I said, and I stood up and said it because they have a picture of it too. And I basically said, if not us, who? And if not now, when? And honestly, there was nobody, including me, I'm embarrassed to say, it was a one-man show at Wells Fargo. And, there was no one who could step up and lead this thing. And so it's sad because a lot of work was done. We don't want to be in that same situation going forward. And no doubt in my mind, we will not be, because of all of you on this committee and this planning committee and this mayor who wants to make sure that this is something doable that changes our community that's going to come out of this summit. And we have Clint with us this time. So how could we go wrong? So
And so, Pat, this slide, you've just mentioned this. And so the context, in addition to 10 years down the line with the last summit, and the hope that is today about trying to engage together and work through actions and implement. This is also in the context of the America's 250th anniversary. And so this is one of the various convenings and meetings and engagements that is going to be that we're going to see in Miami-Dade County over the coming year. And in particular, I think the mayor was interested before July 4th to convene this summit to connect very directly with the 250th anniversary, but also to get going on this. I'm gonna Ibis and Pat are gonna kind of talk a little bit about the goals and then the charge to the planning committee. So you want to take it from here?
yeah, you want to put it up on the screen or?
It's on.
Oh, sorry.
The goals are up.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, so really, the intention with as Pat said about casting the net very wide was to get as many experts as possible in different points of view, different communities. What I'm especially proud of in this Civic Summit 2.0, as it were, is that we have expanded not just, the traditional net of civic education orgs, but we're including chambers of commerce, we're including faith communities, we're including the business community, so many different entities in our community that have a civic role to play, that have that much more reach. So the reason why we've invited you all and recommended you as thought partners to help co-design the summit is to make sure that, first and foremost, to design an interactive civic gathering in the context of the America 250 celebrations. I mean, this could not be more perfectly timed. I really want to emphasize that. Very serendipitous and therefore something to give us even more motivation and oxygen, right, as we pursue the summit. Second is to develop strategies to increase civic and community opportunities for residents to connect and participate. The beauty is that all of you touch different points of the population. So this is a point of learning from each other, complementing each other's service models and service populations. Third, we have here to enhance, now civic education as well as civic engagement spans digital, social, institutional, county departments like parks, trails, libraries, and especially there's been a lot of talk about the diminishing or just what people perceive as a lack of third spaces. We are here to create that space where people can connect in an accessible, low cost, and effective way. That is also, I want to mention, culturally competent. That is very, very important. So really, this is about launching, what does civic culture in Miami-Dade look like? I want to give a special shout out to Maile. When I went to her 10 Days of Connection, something that stuck with me was how do you measure civic health? So this summit is all about measuring, how is our civic health thermometer check, so to speak? How do people have time to volunteer? Do people have time to donate to causes? How can people participate civically, right? So, Pat, do you want to elaborate here about the
Yeah.
Civic Hub?
So one of the things, again, for some of you who are doing this in the trenches every day, not a surprise, but for me, having doing this for so many years, what often happens to me on a weekly basis, I get a call from somebody who says, hey, XYZ person said I should call you about where to get involved on a board, who is interested in, civic life writ large, right? How do I get involved with United Way? I heard about this Radical Partners. What is that, right? I mean, I hear this, on a regular basis about some nonprofit. How do I get on the board? How do I fund? I want to volunteer. Where do I go, right? That hasn't stopped. And the joke was, Ben, well, if you know Pat Morris, then they can get those answered. But you know what? It's bigger than me. I mean, Joan, you're laughing, but you know what I'm talking about. And I think that we are finally at a point where Miami-Dade County needs one place where all those things are. If you want to learn about our academic organizations that are in the civic space, if you want to understand youth volunteering, if you're a senior in our community and you're retired and you still feel like you want to be active, where do you go to volunteer to do something? We can do that. United Way's got volunteer.org. Hands on Miami is a little shell of what it used to be, but it's around. The Little Lighthouse Foundation, unbelievably cool volunteer opportunities, they need to be lifted up. So whether it's getting on a board, whether it's corporate social responsibility, there's got to be one place. And so some of that work is being done bits and pieces. I have my own map and what I think it should be. And so one of the, I would say, tracks of coming out of the planning going up to June, I would like to see a smaller group work on what, again, I'm calling a Miami-Dade County Civic Hub. And then at the summit, we would like review it for everybody there and get their input, because it's not just going to be 25 people on a committee that are going to do this. There are going to be people who say, you know what, I want to make sure I see my organization or my interest reflected in going to a Miami hub. Because if I'm interested in that, probably somebody else is also. So the good news is our county technology people are on this to help us in any way they can. The technology is not that complicated, I think. I think there's some other hubs that are maybe out there. Miami Foundation's got something. We can link to that. So I just think there's so many opportunities here. And it sounds funny because I really thought the mayor wasn't really listening to me the other day. And I made that mistake. I don't make it often. And literally this morning, she was at an event with Anna Chamas, one of our chief technology people. And she said, Pat, the mayor is all over that civic hub idea. She had 3 ideas right there. I was like, Anna, didn't even think she was listening to me. I said, oh no, she really thinks this has to happen. So Bob and Jim, I didn't tell you that, but literally Anna called me and left me that message on my phone. So again, we got the mayor behind this. To me, it is a legacy thing that if we could get up and I say it this way, we can incubate it at the county. It can find a home in 2 years when the mayor's no longer the mayor. And who knows, the mayor coming in is going to want to do that or not. But having all the right parties in the development of this thing will make that easier to make sure it stays alive once she's gone. So more to come on that. That's all I got on the civic.
Yeah, no, I think that was.
So,
And by the way,
Yeah.
anyone who has any ideas about that, just send me an email. I'm happy to connect. I'm actually meeting with somebody tomorrow at lunch to talk about this, who's got some real world experience in other cities. So I'm excited about that. And I don't think they've done anything yet, but we're going to learn from them and go from there.
So I think at this moment, we want to invite any reactions, thoughts, suggestions, concerns, questions about the broader goals. And I think as we go forward, you'll see that we're going to be developing this, figuring out how these goals produce an agenda for a summit, but also an implementation plan for actions that might emerge and be agreed upon at the summit and then emerge to be implemented. So just if anyone wants to comment on or has a question about any of this. Okay.
This is not a shy crowd. I'm a little surprised.
Well, maybe you hit it on the mark. But we're going to come back to this and do some refinements as we proceed forward and kind of delve into what this all means in the context of the issues and the agenda for the summit. But I will. I think Ibis. This is in general, the charge. It's a fairly broad charge, and if you wanted to introduce this and then solicit any thoughts in terms of the members of the committee on the call.
Totally. So really, I think the privilege and the responsibility of being on the summit planning committee is to help us develop recommendations to help first refine the summit goals, objectives. We would really want you to help us fine tune a really great, varied, effective agenda that features, and the good thing about all of you having um, your expertise in different service populations is that you're the experts telling us what are the priority issues, what gets people fired up, and in that really ideal window where they can get civically engaged, right? And in addition to not just leading up to the summit, but what does engagement look like post summit as well? Because we want to make sure that all the different populations that you serve don't feel like that the summit is the ultimate culmination and then radio silence, but rather, like what is the pipeline of engagement, right? To continue it.
So any reactions or thoughts, suggestions, questions from the committee members?
And feel free to just speak up. You don't have to raise your hand and call, just speak into
So, yeah, I think something that would help us in defining the conversation with goals and objectives is, first of all, determining who our audience is. So, is this an audience of other orgs, community members, general public? First establishing, who it is that we're targeting. Are we charging and having leaders attend the summit and then implement that in their lives, kind of like ambassadors? Or, what route are we going with audience? Just generally, and I think that can help define the level of engagement that we're hoping, because one day is one day. We want to be smart and strategic with what it is that we're focusing on that one day, and then how we're disseminating that information afterwards.
Great point. Ibis and Pat, do you have any thoughts? And very really a central point for the summit, and really good to address that right up front early on.
I mean, I guess, might they, if you go back to that last one we did, I don't know, 75, 80 people in the room, it was a combination of the highest elected official was a newly elected Daniela Levine Cava, right, commissioner. And then Ralph Rosado was there, who's now a Miami commissioner. And Damian Pardo was there, who was a board member at Hands on Miami, when I had been there. So, I do think there are elected leaders, and maybe some that are not leaning the way they are politically. That would make sense to have us join as well, because I think we need to be politically inclusive as well. And I guess the question is, I don't know, we'll answer right now, but I think the thought is it organizations who are seeking to get there or individuals? I think that's right. And I think under the umbrella of America 250, I think this is one of those, civic summits that needs a wider net that includes citizens, residents who have no experience and want to be more involved, and this way is a way to do it. I think that some of the folks on this phone that know the work that we did under Citizen Academy would agree with me that a lot of the folks who participated in that 4 nights of learning about our democracy at the national, state, and local level would be great candidates to come to this and participate. Our friend from Catalyst was one of the ones that I was with, 3 of the 4 sessions. And, I think she'd agree that this would be something that we can offer to those folks to really get actively involved. So Yeah, I don't know if I have a good answer, but that's my best I got at the moment.
So one of the things that we were thinking about, and this relates to a facility that could accommodate more than 50 people, 80 people. The 2016 summit was in a room that accommodated, about 100 people at round tables. I think we're talking with Miami-Dade College about facilities, and so that's one. It's not an audience answer, but it's a question of who do you want engaged in this. And I think we were thinking initially of several hundred, and then what are the audiences you really want to have a presence in the room during the summit? And that's a great question, and I think it's a question we'll continue to review and look at and refine, and try and get clarity on that. So,
Yep. Good idea.
So beyond audience, any questions about the charge? You have a sense of this, so I can.
Question, Abis and Pat. Did you already have in mind for what like the day structure will look like? Like, are we thinking workshops or yeah, what's the sort of what do you
Yeah.
all already have in mind?
Again, great question, and it's not predetermined. I mean, I think
Okay.
there's some ideas, but that's really, I mean, we have some ideas that we think make sense, but it's not, there's no decisions been made on anything yet, except the fact that we have reached out to Josh Young at Miami-Dade College and say, hey, if we were to do this thing, and we try to kind of move the heaven and earth and get the mayor's schedule and room available at Miami-Dade College, would these dates work? So we're kind of trying to flush them out. And I mean, one of the days, even one of the things we said, like we did it on a Friday the last time. And some people say, well, maybe should be a Saturday. I don't think it should be a Saturday. I think it should be a Friday or a Thursday, or kind of more the end of the week thing. So I think, again, I don't think that's a exact decision we have to make today, but that will be one. We'll maybe sending back out to you all to get your thoughts and feedback, because there is, when you're working with a mayor, you're kind of conscripted on what you can do based on her availability. Obviously, she wouldn't stay the whole day, but she would be there enough of the day to, I think, have her input and her impact felt.
Yeah. What I would add to what Pat just said, is interactive. That it can't be just people talking at people in the room. That it really needs to be interactive, because it's going to be looking at particular ideas and actions to take from the summit and go forward. So that suggests some design, broadly speaking, a design idea. And I think the mayor and the mayor's staff are interested in this in the context of interactive. What that means exactly, that's for the planning committee to kind of like sort through and figure out what makes the most sense and what are the objectives that could be put on the table for the outcomes for the summit. So and again, as was mentioned earlier, I think Mayday, you said, it's a day, it's a 10 to 4 opportunity. And so we're well aware of that.
Yeah, and let me just shout out to my friend Joan. I went to your event that I was only there half a day, and it was so masterfully done, engaging people in the community, not the community, in that room at Frost Science. And I was sitting in the back, and I walked out of there with 4 new friends that I'm still friends with today. And I'm not sure how you guys put that all together, but man, that was, I thought, so well done. So you're not here just by chance, my friend. So we've got to figure out how we get that kind of, you know, that again, masterful was the way. It was one of the best ones. I was only there half the day. I was like, man, what did I do? I'm not going to miss this one next time. But it was very well done. So, how do we really, I mean, you guys did a great job of just engaging people. So more to come on that.
Thank you, Pat. And yeah, we'll follow up with more ideas later, but there's three things that I want to say out loud just to see if there's positive reactions or not from the group. Three things come to mind. One, to your point, Bob, I think the call to action on the spot will be very important, right? Like, shall I leave that event with the opportunity to register to vote? Am I leaving that event with like signing up to volunteer so that once I exit the summit, I already have a pathway of how I be civically engaged, right? I think that would be important. Number two, I want to vouch for us prioritizing our beneficiaries. Nori, I'm going to use you as an example, right? Like, it would be great to have the United Way's team there, yes, but let's make sure that the United Way team brings the beneficiaries that they serve, because these are the folks at the peripheria that are not being civically engaged. So I feel like if we address or target our beneficiaries by chance or by strategy, all the organizations will be involved. But I think that will be the transformational piece of this. Because with all the love in the heart, I don't want to be in the workers or parents, etc. We should be mindful of their schedules if they have 2 or 3 jobs, and most importantly, what's going to happen inside that space. Can we make it a safe haven? And if not, for us to be super aware of that, so that it's welcoming to whomever we want to welcome, and not have a negative, I would say, impact.
Good, excellent points. Yeah, we'll focus to do that. Thank you, John.
Okay, in any other thoughts before we take a look at the jaw-dropping exercise of the schedule?
Fernanda.
Yeah, I just have a question. I just want to make sure I understand. The goal is to bring everyone together for this summit, but really the ultimate goal is to develop this civic engagement hub infrastructure. Am I understanding that correctly? Like, that's ultimately the goal. A summit is really just to launch something even bigger than the summit. Am I understanding that?
I mean, I think that's as good a way to say it. I mean, I don't know what the summit's going to look like, but it just, to me, is something that's so long overdue here that the summit, I mean, if we didn't have a summit, would we, for the mayor, be working on this anyway? Yes. But it just seems like they coincide so perfectly that, why not take advantage of doing the summit and also having the feedback? Again, maybe that feedback is different. Yeah, maybe that feedback is not from exactly who Joan is talking about, but there needs to be space to have that conversation with people that Joan is talking about in there as well.
I think just going back to clarity on target audience, also I would just add clarity on how we're defining civic engagement, right? Civic and community opportunities for engagement, just because that could mean different things to different people. So looking at the different pillars of what a thriving civic engagement, like what makes one community more civically engaged than others, or what makes populations more civically engaged than others. So just having also a clear definition of how we're looking at it.
That's great. And we when we were discussing this over the last several months, we used the term connections because it seems that connections lead to participation, engagement in community. And so we were trying to navigate the definitional questions that are out there, where you could spend the rest of the year trying to resolve what exactly is. But we wanted to, we use that as a very broad frame for, and the committee will develop that further, refine it, define it, et cetera.
Good.
Very good.
Very quickly, I would propose maybe the framing around civic health and the pillars around donating, volunteering, and participation.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, and it's a national, state, and local frame that is generally consistent in terms of what it measures, et cetera. There are issues with the measurements, as an endless conversation going back to like 2008. So, but yes, I think we certainly in our for Florida Civic Advance, we utilize the civic health data from the census, et cetera. But we know that it's not standalone, and it just doesn't really help. I mean, it helps baseline, but you need a lot more quality data to kind of round out the profile. So anyway, yes, the civic health is a good frame, accepted frame. Everyone, and it's one that we can. FCA is going to see if we can help bring even the 2025 census data, which is supposedly going to be released in July or June by AmeriCorps. But we're trying to see if we can find an earlier path to getting some of that data so we can have fresh data from the so the last data was 23. So at any rate, just as a data conversation. And I think we will have probably at the opening a data presentation about the Miami Foundation had a great report back in 24, used the 23 data for their report for Miami, and the Metropolitan Center worked with them to produce that report. So I think that data point is probably, we're probably going to look at how to incorporate that into the front end of the agenda for the summit, that everyone will look at this and then go forward to look at all the activities, et cetera, that are possibly counter to that data that is out there. So thanks for that comment. So here is a concept schedule, and you can see it's busy. And you've not seen this before, but we were thinking about every 3 weeks, más o menos, to get the committee to a point where you could work and share the products that have been emerging. And Pat mentioned when he was talking about civic hubs, we might want to organize some work groups that could help get some specific jobs done. And what we're going to try and do is, after this meeting, we're going to send out a survey and sort of ask a series of questions, and then bring back to the second meeting the general responses and how we can shape both the meeting schedule. So we have like 6 meetings up till early June. The tentative date is June 18th for the summit, and then a 7th meeting beyond after the summit to look at implementation, et cetera. So that's conceptual and is and could be rearranged and reworked, but we just thought you'd appreciate kind of getting a sense of, okay, well, what is this? Both what is the commitment to engaging on this, as well as can we get this job done to have a really bang up successful summit in June. And we're now in late February.
All right, sounds like we might be ready for the exercise of schedule, as you so eloquently
Yeah, I mean,
said.
and part of, again, it's a busy page, but, part of what I said is these guys are busy. We got to give them what the commitment is. And like, let's get some dates on the calendar. We're not all going to be able to make every date. I get it. But, we see each other out. We're in each other's emails and boxes and stuff. Let's have some dates on the calendar that we can all at least try to work our calendars around for the next couple of months. And I think we end up keeping them on Friday afternoons, Bob. Didn't we, Bob?
Yes, we did. I mean, those all dates are Fridays, which is not right. It could be changed. This was a Friday date, so I just picked that and went forward approximately every 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, we will include that in our little post of this meeting survey to see what people's thoughts are on that. And, look, you're never going to find a date that's going to work for everybody. So if it's not a date, I mean, I'll just say it quite frankly, like if it's not a date, I can't make it the next 3 months, maybe there's somebody else in your organization that you can have join us who's got a little more flexibility, right? And you can stay connected to what we're doing and provide input, but somebody else will be there to represent you. And then I would also say, we'd love to have everybody here continue, but if there's a meeting you can't make it, feel free to have one of your colleagues pop in and join us, and or make, Bob is going to be videotaping these or taping these afterwards, so we can share that with everybody as well. Sound good? All right.
Okay, so our next steps, we're going to produce a summary. There is a recording of this. The slides will go out to everyone. And then we're going to try between now and the second meeting, do some surveying on interest in different areas of the civic space, and then also some ideas in terms of priority civic topics that you think should be on this agenda. And we had some thoughts coming into it. I think in the slide set that Ebis and Pat sent you earlier this week was some concept ideas about topics. But what we're really we have some ideas about topics, but I think what we want is to have this very organically emerge out of the conversation that you're having together as a planning committee. So, Pat and Ebis, do you want to offer any further thoughts, or does anybody want to? I'm looking to see raised hands. I don't see any, but you can speak if you want at this point, or we'll.
No, I just want to say, on behalf of the mayor, thank you all for joining this effort. And, I think this is one of those opportunities for the greater good, right? It's not about my organization, your organization, whatever, but how do we move all organizations forward as well as the county? And I think, we should keep in mind, how are we lifting up all of these organizations that are represented around the Zoom call in the work that you're doing going forward? Because I think, it is all an example of all the amazing stuff that you guys are all doing at the academic centers, in the nonprofit sectors, the work the Miami Foundation's doing for Philanthropy Miami, United Way, Radical Partners. I mean, we just, the answers are here, right? right? How do we get more people engaged with your organizations and knowledgeable about what's going on in our community? That, we have 20 organizations. Jewish Federation is here, right? Jewish Community Services. I mean, there's just the answers are around our table. How do we figure out together how we all move this community together? And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to accomplish here, and providing, pathways for them to do that. And I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but like I'll say this, we have a county mayor who's going to be in the county mayorship for the next 2.5 years. I don't know what's coming next, guys. And so I won't make any comments on it either, but I know that it ain't going to be what we've had the last 6 years. And so how do we all join in together and support her interest in having this as a legacy and really move it forward? So thank you all for joining. All right, guys, we'll be in touch.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
weekend.
You too.
Thank you.